watching The Money Show on ET Now. Well, term insurance policies have definitely gained a lot of importance among, the average Indian. Purchasing has increased, moreover, on account of the kind of health crisis that we've all been plunged in the midst of. And guess what? The process as well to complete the purchase of a term life plan has gotten much, much easier. We analyzed the trends seen in these last few months, trends in terms of purchase and trends in terms of claims as well. Praveen Chowdary, the head for term life insurance with PolicyBazaar.com, joins us now on the show. Thank you so much, Sajja, for joining us. As always, a pleasure. So let's start off first with, the purchasing trends that you have seen in life insurance as a whole. Does a plain vanilla term life plan continue to be the most popular product? And how does it compare with some of the other more sophisticated products that life insurance companies have introduced?
It still continues to have a good dominant presence in the life insurance segment with respect to consumers, and especially in the online segment where we look at customers who come to our website who are kind of educated themselves on what kind of cover do they want and so on and so forth. And especially if you look at the trends that have changed over months, one key thing that has remained similar to what we've seen in last year at the time of COVID also is that as a country, we remain underinsured in terms of the amount of cover that we should have, as well as in terms of number of people who've been insured versus the total population that we have. And this thing, all of the underinsured people or the uninsured people end up coming to the towards the purchasing kind of a mode as and when something of this sort spikes, right? So this we've seen in the past also when we did some kind of research with some of the consumers where they kind of end up saying, yes, I'm looking for buying a term insurance right now because I just realized when something happened with one of the colleagues in the office and so on and so forth. And this is something which we kind of saw last year when COVID has struck the country, where people have started to come and buy term insurance in larger numbers. And then once COVID has, the impact has gone down, obviously we've seen a kind of a slowdown that has started to kick in. But once again, the month of April and May, when the second wave has struck this time, once again, similar kind of an impact we've seen this time where we've seen numbers growing at more than 30% than what we've ideally projected on a year-on-year basis. And that's how, while the numbers have moved, what seemed to be happening, as we discussed earlier, is in April and May, when people were coming and saying, I would want to buy a term insurance right now, it has become a bit slightly difficult for them to get a term insurance at that point of time compared to what it would have been in the month of, say, February and March, or what it is right now in the month of July. The reason behind that being, in the month of April and May, the entire health infrastructure has been under severe stress. And there have been a lot of places where obviously there's a lockdown kind of a situation that has come up where people were not able to travel to get medical tests done, or people are not okay with someone coming to their house and doing a medical test, or even some of the lab centers were not open. And similarly, as every industry got affected, even in the insurance industry also, there were some people who got affected or someone's family got affected. So that process took a longer time where, earlier a policy would take about eight days to kind of get issued. Now it's kind of, moved to probably during those months of April and May, it moved to about, say, 18 to 20 days. And now once again, the month of July, it's come down back to about 8 days. So that's how trends that we see. And that's why we believe, given that people are speaking about the third wave that might come in, touchwood, hope that it doesn't come. But, if it comes and then again, once again, people, think of buying a term insurance at that point of time, again, they would face a similar kind of situation. And we guess that this might be the right period to probably buy term insurance for those who are either underinsured or who are uninsured kind of.
All right. Now, Sajja, let's talk about how possible is it to buy a term insurance purely online without any physical contact. When we buy an insurance policy, health or health or life, you obviously have to undergo certain medical tests. Today, with limited mobility, with keeping in mind our safety and the ones who live with us, their safety, is it possible to purchase policies purely via, telemedicals, online consultation? In fact, what did you see in the last 3 months? What was the most popular mode of purchasing term insurance plans?
Yeah. So today, it is still possible that, in the case of term insurance, you can do it without any physical contact. Obviously, because insurance companies have different kinds of processes for different segments. Having said that, one thing that we need to understand, Mubina, here is that in a term insurance policy where you're taking a cover which is a very high cover, say for example, term insurance policies are those, right, where you get a 1 crore rupees or a 2 crore rupees life cover. And for a very, very small premium where you probably pay a 500 rupees per month or a, say 1000 rupees per month. For the insurance company, it's a huge risk that they're underwriting, and hence, a proper checkup process is necessary, where most of the times it might be asked that you have to undergo physical medical. But when you look at the percentage, right, as you asked, is it possible to get a term insurance without a physical, contact and so on and so forth? Yes. Earlier, prior to COVID second wave, what we used to see is that about roughly 60% of policies, or say 50% of policies used to get issued without any need of a physical medical test, which means the customer has to fill up a form online, make a payment, upload their documents, and then there is a telemedical that used to get conducted where a doctor used to call you and ask you some questions, and then probably basis that and the underwriter's decision, your policy might get issued. Whereas there are about roughly 40 to 50% customers where the insurer used to ask for a physical medical test, which means 90% of the times, obviously, again, it will be a home visit where someone will come to your house and take your samples and get the test done, and so on and so forth. But there are very few where you have to undergo at the medical center. That's how it has been. Earlier, about 60% used to undergo a telemedical, whereas 40% had to go undergo a physical medical. So for the 60% of customers, it was a simple no-touch process that has been there online. But having said that, when COVID second wave has said, obviously there have been certain changes in guidelines by reinsurers, and as a result, obviously those changes have impacted the consumers, which has led to a bit of change in this trend. Basically, a 60% telemedical or a 50% telemedical, now moving to say a 30%, 35% telemedical, which means the physical medical, which is done either at your home or at the medical center, has moved about 65% of the cases. So while it still exists today that 35% or 30 to 35% of customers can buy a policy online without any physical touch, that numbers have come down. Now the only thing is, as we know that COVID has impacted the industry, and hence at a huge risk like 1 crore and 2 crore, the insurers and reinsurers also have to be wary about what's happening, and hence the reason they've tightened some of the guidelines, I would say. But at this point on, still there is a huge chunk, which is 35%, which still undergoes, say, a telemedical process without a physical touch. Now, given that, if in future, let's say if a third wave happens or something else comes up, probably these guidelines might further change, which might mean either the 35 can further come down to say a 25 or 20%. Or if nothing happens, then probably to move in a positive direction. But given that at this point of time, yes, for customers who are now looking for buying term insurance without any physical touch, yes, it's possible.
Let's talk about now claims. Of course, since we are unfortunately in the midst of a health crisis, your report says that there has been a massive surge in health insurance. In claims being made by life insurance purchasers. What's the easiest way, for the family members to make a claim on term life insurance plans held by the deceased? How would you recommend they go about it so as to ensure that the claim is processed with ease? What would you recommend?
So I think it's obviously it's a tough period for family members if someone has passed away and they need to make a claim. But having said that, the ideal thing that we would suggest is as soon as you're able to recover from that entire thing, or at the earliest once the family member passes away, the first thing is you have to intimate it to the insurance company. So basically, every insurance company has a centralized team for claims, claims notification or claims being notified to them. So basically, you can call up their toll-free number and intimate them that this is the policy number and this is the person, and this person has passed away and so on, so date. Please let us know what documents are required. And they would obviously coordinate with you by either sending a person to your house or by sending you an email with respect to a list of documents that are required, which you have to submit. Now, you can obviously submit it either at the nearest office that you have, or you can courier it across to them. Given that obviously some of the time in the month of April and May, some of the branches were not open, you had an option to either scan them and send them as well, or courier them to the insurance company. And then the insurance company, works backward on it in terms of if there's anything required or if they can immediately quickly pay on it and so on and so forth. Ideally, you should inform the insurance company at the earliest possible. That's the process. Having said that, obviously, there are various people who help out the customers during claims as well. For example, at PolicyBazaar, we have a process for claims helpline, which we have for our customers, those who have bought policies through us, where they can inform us and we can help them connect with the insurance company and in terms of helping their near and dear ones in terms of going through their entire documentation. Because see, it's a very tough period, right? For someone for someone in a family, if someone has passed away, it's a very tough period that they're going through, and it takes a lot of effort to kind of ensure that they're doing everything right at that point of time in terms of getting the documents, not missing anything, so that they don't have to go back to, say, an insurance company's office 2 to 3 times with multiple documents missing and so on and so forth. So obviously, people like us also help out these consumers if they reach out to us. And we've seen multiple cases of this happening in the past where customers have reached out to us and we've helped them. But having said that, again, broadly from the question that you asked, the first thing is probably to intimate the insurance company at the earliest possible of the cause of death and when did it happen. And then obviously to ensure that all the documents are submitted at the earliest possible. Because the only thing that for the insurance company, the clock starts ticking once you submit all the documents. Till the time you're not submitted all the documents, they would obviously wait for that because they also have to submit it probably to the reinsurer or their underwriter or the risk team or the claims team has to go through all the documents, right? So submitting all the documents at the earliest is the important thing. But again, if you bought a policy from someone like PolicyBazaar or anyone else, any other intermediary who's helping out in claims, then obviously you can approach them as well to help you out, sort that out in one go as well.
Well, so much more to discuss, but unfortunately, we're a bit short of time. Sajjad, thanks so much for joining us today on The Money Show to discuss term insurance plans with all of our viewers. It's a must-have product, goes without saying, and its importance has only been stressed by the pandemic that we have seen creep up upon us in the last 1 year. And with that, we'll take a very short break on the show. But when we return, we'll be sharing with you tips on how you can save on your next EMI bill. Anshuman Mishra of Loanada.com will be joining us.